Hey guys, welcome back to this series on how to prepare and how to win NaNoWriMo. Today we're going to be talking about keeping track and record keeping and a little bit on word count. So this is stuff you'll be doing while you're actually writing. When I say keeping track, I mean keep track of the details that you invent while you're writing. I do recommend you plan out everything ahead of time. So technically, shouldn't you already have all this written down? Well, no, not actually, because you will invent new details as you're writing. You'll come up with new plot lines, new characters, new everything. Remember, your beat sheet, or whatever you're using to plan your outline, is just a roadmap. I encourage you to deviate from it as often as you need to. Or as little as you need to. Maybe you wrote it out perfectly the first time. Maybe you didn't. But the more you work at the story, the better it's going to be. So if you find that as you are actually physically writing the story that you come up with new details, just make sure you write those down because you're not going to remember and you're not going to remember where you wrote them. So, just have, if you're using Scrivener like I do, it's easy. You just have another tab open to your notes and you can jot that down. If not, maybe have a notebook at your side and just scroll things down as they occur to you or whatever means it is that you use to take notes. Just make sure that you take those notes. Otherwise, and I speak from painful experience, you will have to search through your manuscript page by page, words by words, to remember the name of some throwaway character you introduced on page 63 when you get to page 163. The second thing you want to keep track of while you're writing is your work habits. Now, this may seem like it's a little bit extra, like it's just going to slow you down, but in the long run, it will help you out quite a bit. Track your word count when you're writing at different times of day. If you're writing before eating, after eating, just figure out exactly how it is that you write and write best, and try to get that down in specific numbers. Keep track of what else you were doing that day. Do you write best in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, after work, before work, when you have a deadline looming over you for something else? Figure out what it is that gets the best work out of you, and then try to plan yourself so you can maximize the time you spend writing under those conditions. Just figure out how it is that you work, and the best way to do that is to really keep track of everything. A day-by-day spreadsheet. What is your daily word count? And under what conditions was this happening? What time of day? Where were you writing? Were you writing at home? Were you writing in your office? Were you writing in a coffee shop? Were you writing on the bus? What particular circumstance is best for you? The better you can figure that out, the better you can maximize your writing potential. And as you go through the month, as you go through NaNoWriMo, writing these things down, you will see patterns emerging, because really that's what intellect is. That is what humans are, as we are pattern matching machines, and you will be able to match those patterns between your best word count and what is going on in and around you at that time. The other thing I want to talk to you about today is just word count. What is word count, man? I mean, word count is really mostly attitude, do the math for you. 50,000 words is about 1,600, 1,700 words every day if you write every day, and you absolutely should. And why? Because then you make a habit of it. And you make a habit of it, you're more likely to do it every day. And really, that's what your job as a writer is to write every day. The more consistent you can be with your habits, the more consistently you write, the better off it is. And believe me, it matters. When you get a streak going, when you write every day, you are more likely to write the next day, and you are more likely to write more words in that day. Try to block out as many hours in a row as you can, because the more hours in a row that you are writing, the stronger your word count will be. There's a certain sense of momentum and acceleration that goes with that. So try to max out your writing time as much as possible. I mean, if you can only get like 10 minutes a day, half an hour a day, an hour a day, then so be it. But if you can front load all of your writing time and get like 3 hours done a day, and then everything else you need to do that day at the end of the day, absolutely do that. Or, do it at the end. But try to get a consistent, solid block together, because that is, for most people, what they find works for them best is being able to just focus on writing. Because, when you're doing a task, whatever that task is, your brain will slightly rewrite itself to be optimized at that task. And this is why I also advise you to not edit as you write, save the revision for the end, not just for word count's sake, but because switching tracks like that from the creative to the analytical is a bit of a jar for your brain. I'm not right brain, left brain is mostly a myth, but the processes used, the neural pathways that are burned in the process of writing are very different from those used in editing. And if you edit as you write, your brain is going to have to constantly switch back and forth, and you'll lose that sense of momentum. So you really want to save your editing until you're done with the draft. So my recommendation for everyone, and normally I'll say do what you want to do, but just based on how human neurology works, is to write and then edit. Don't try to do multitask, because there are so many studies that have shown that multitasking just doesn't work. If you really want to maximize your word count, do a little bit of self-analysis. Decide for yourself what is less important than my writing, and then cut that out of your life, or prioritize your writing over it. I'm not kidding. Sacrifice everything that is less important than writing on the altar of your writing. Now, it sounds a little bit extreme, and I am a professional writer. This is my job, and my income is directly tied to how much I write. And it's also my favorite hobby, and it's really the only thing I ever want to do, so it's not that hard for me. But just be serious about your writing, or at least be aware of how serious you are about your writing. Be honest with yourself. If playing video games is more important than writing, be honest. If it's less, don't play so many video games. Spend more time writing. Family. I'm not kidding. Family, friends, whatever is less important to you than writing, write instead. Because that's what the game is. That's what it is. If you want to succeed as a writer, if you want it to be more than a hobby, and you don't have to, you can totally just be a hobbyist writer, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's totally legitimate. But if you want to be a successful commercial writer, if you want to be a published writer, if you want to be a professional writer, you have to be an adult about this. You have to prioritize, Don't let the things that are less important than your writing cut into your writing time. I mean, yeah, focus on your work-life balance. Keep yourself sane doing whatever you do. If you need a certain amount of downtime to be able to write, take that time, but be honest with yourself about why you're doing it, and live. Go out and live a little bit, because in order to be able to exhale art, you have to be inhaling life. So you have to go out there and have experiences and do things. But everything that is extraneous, everything that is a form of procrastination or the fattiness of your life, if you don't need it to be who you want to be, then cut it out and just be, 100% focused on what it is you want to do, what your writing goals are. And again, it's totally cool if you're just casual about writing. That's fine, but just be honest with yourself about it if that's not the case, All right. That's it for this episode. Next time, we're going to be talking about more specific time management techniques to, again, get the best out of your writing. And we're going to talk about general improvement as you go along, and some other topics as well. So if you like what you see, if you want to keep subscribing, hit the subscribe button, listen to the videos, yada, 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 you know the deal.